All right, now we're going to talk about a tool or a strategy that has been very effective. We're going to place it in the LCR level, but the stress of leadership is real. And stress is a biological phenomenon as much as a psychological one. So this could fit at the bedrock level, but because of the way that we're going to look at it in terms of the examination of self-talk, we're going to stick it in the LCR level. It's one of the most effective, and I would say one of my favorite tools to use in the examination of self-talk as it pertains to potentially anxiety or overwhelm. It's called WBL, the WBL strategy. And it touches on a lot of the concepts we've already reviewed. But in practice, what it means is, okay, if there is a spectrum of potential outcomes in a given situation, say you have a meeting to go to the next day, it could go any number of ways. And before you go into the meeting, you don't know how it's going to go. But where does our mind tend to lean? WBL stands for worst, best, likeliest. Our mind, by nature, to a degree, by design to a degree, tends to look for danger. And unfortunately, in the modern environment, sits in the worst possible outcome situation. So if this is worst possible situation, possible outcome rather, this is best possible outcome. And we'll do some basic, just looking at going into a meeting. You might find yourself lying in bed at night, wondering how the meeting is going to go and imagining all the ways that it could go that would work against you. That would be sitting on this end of the spectrum, lingering in worst possible outcome. Very, very common and the source of a lot of anxiety. I'm going to touch on it for a moment before I fully explain this. In that 2 a.m. lying in bed concerned moment, or maybe it's on your commute to work or whenever you find yourself there, what happens oftentimes, and the root of a lot of anxieties, is what we call overprediction. The brain is a prediction machine. It is supposed to do that. We are supposed to scan our environment, predict the demands of the future, and prepare for it. Our body is ready for a potential challenge before that challenge occurs. If we're out in the forest and it's dark, maybe it's bear country and we hear a twig snap in the woods, our body is going to prepare ourselves for that engagement before the bear is upon us. It's just how it happens. Our task is to recognize that that's what's happening in modern environments, even though there's no bear upon us. The body tends to want to keep us safe, so it keeps us here more often than it needs to. Remember, don't judge that. Judgment-free assessments can be a key to all the work we do. So instead, to use this strategy, what we say is now shift from bear back to meeting. We say, okay, fine. If that's where our mind is headed, let's go to the worst possible scenario. But let's catch ourselves when we're going one step too far. For example, you might say, I'm going to go into the meeting and say this, or I'm going to ask for a raise, or whatever it might look like. And you might then predict or imagine what the person you're in the meeting with is going to respond or how they might respond. That's fine. But once you go further than that, you are engaging what we call tractionless thinking. Tractionless thinking, meaning you've lost traction on the objective world. Meaning, and we all do this, by the way. I do this too. You prepare to go into the meeting. You imagine the response of the person you're going to the meeting with. And then you imagine a response to the response that they're going to give that is not yet real, it's imagined. And we play out these conversations or these dialogues without having any traction on the real world. So just to catch ourselves, not judge ourselves, catch ourselves going a step too far, that would be the perfect moment to engage this strategy. And if you can, I am a huge advocate of sitting down with a piece of paper. This does not take long. Let yourself imagine some of the worst possible outcomes of this. I might get fired right here and now. They might yell at me on my way out the door, et cetera, et cetera. Let yourself go there. You do it. Honor that your mind is going to that place. Your only task, the only discipline we're asking for is for you to limit it, time box it. I'm going to call it 3 minutes. I think you do just as well with 90 seconds. Let yourself go to that place if that's where you're naturally going. Just don't let yourself stay there. Time box it. It is so easy these days to pick up your phone and say, Siri, set an alarm for whatever time, or set a timer for 2 minutes. Time box it, and then stay disciplined to the time box that you set up for yourself. Now here, that's fairly straightforward. What we found the difficult part to be, but the essential part, is then shifting over to best possible. This is not a place we give ourselves much time to sit in these days. Imagine the best possible scenario. Imagine you go into the room and what? What happens? Just a bullet pointed list, some of the best possible outcomes. And what we find is that when we ask people to do this, their first few attempts, they can't even get here. They'll say things like, well, maybe it won't go so bad. Or maybe it won't be as bad as I think. Well, that's not best possible scenario. That's okay scenario. That's fine scenario. Force yourself into the best. And while this may seem silly or even naive, there's plenty of neuroscientific research behind it suggesting why, and we'll go into that at a later date. But the important idea here is simply, before you go engage in the situation, the worst possible scenario and the best possible scenario are equally likely. And yet, we sit here way more often than not. So we're asking you to force yourself over to best possible. Not only does the engagement go well or the meeting go well, but you get a promotion and maybe they buy you a yacht. I don't know if you even want a yacht, but be silly. Let yourself push it to its extremes, because we do that over here, whether we're aware of it or not. Now, the truth is, of course, in terms of a distribution, the likeliest outcome probably sits somewhere in the middle. Fair enough. And some just realists might say, well, then why don't we just go to the likeliest outcome? That's fine, that you could, except you need to know, based on all the things that we've discussed, expectation effect included, that the more time you spend in the worst case scenario, the more you are predisposing yourself to pick up on the negative in the conversation you're about to go have. So you will be highly in tune with anything that seems even slightly off. And believe it or not, you're skewing the likeliest scenario. You're pushing it slightly toward worst possible case just because of the rehearsal. When instead, could you imagine, if you imagined the best possible scenario, primed yourself to go into this meeting looking for the good, being a magnet for the good, maybe even wearing a smile on your face, you are shifting the likelihood, even if it's only slight, in the direction of best possible. And if you were wrong, and this is where the word naivete often comes in, if you were wrong and they don't actually buy you a yacht at your performance review, who cares? Who cares? The meeting's probably going to sit somewhere in here, fall somewhere in here, and you'll feel a whole lot better about it along the way.